Sydney Sweeney, one of Hollywood's fastest rising stars, has found herself in the middle of a cultural firestorm that blends the volatile worlds of politics, branding, and celebrity image management. Known for her breakout performances in Euphoria and The White Lotus, Sweeney has built a reputation as an actress with both acting depth and relatable charm. But in recent days, the narrative around her has shifted sharply, away from scripts and red carpets, and toward an unexpected controversy involving a Denim ad, her alleged political leanings, and a growing chorus of online criticism. The situation began when an entertainment news outlet revealed that Sweeney is registered as a Republican, a fact that might not have made headlines in a less polarized era. However, in today's hyper-partisan climate, celebrity political affiliations are often interpreted as symbolic statements in themselves. The revelation was quickly followed by the release of a denim fashion campaign in which Sweeney posed against a backdrop and in a style that some critics claimed visually echoed certain white nationalist imagery that has circulated online in recent years. To her supporters, it was simply a vintage Americana aesthetic: blue jeans, an old truck, and rustic scenery. But to her detractors, the imagery crossed into territory that felt uncomfortably reminiscent of propaganda used by extremist groups. As the ad began circulating on social media, Twitter threads and TikTok breakdowns dissected everything from the color palette to the way Sweeney's hair and wardrobe were styled. Users posted side-by-side comparisons between the denim campaign and photos used in controversial political campaigns, arguing that the visual language overlapped in ways that couldn't be ignored. Others defended the ad as harmless nostalgia, pointing out that denim, trucks, and rural imagery are common tropes in American advertising dating back decades. The real acceleration of the backlash came when political commentators, influencers, and culture critics began weighing in. The conversation moved beyond the imagery itself and into questions about Sweeney's personal beliefs, her team's judgment in approving the ad, and whether celebrities have a responsibility to avoid aesthetic cues that could be misinterpreted in a politically sensitive environment. PR analysts note that this kind of controversy is particularly dangerous for someone in Sweeney's stage of career. She is still cementing her public image, transitioning from promising young talent to an A-list bankable star. Any early career misstep can linger, especially in an age where digital discourse moves quickly and screenshots are eternal. One Hollywood publicist, speaking anonymously, suggested that the backlash was a case study in the risks of not stress testing your brand visuals in the context of the current political climate. In other words, what might seem like a neutral, even charming campaign concept in the design stage can take on a radically different meaning once it meets the internet's rapid response culture. The political dimension of the controversy is what makes it stickier. While being a registered Republican is not inherently scandalous, in Hollywood's predominantly liberal ecosystem, it can place a performer under a different kind of scrutiny. For some industry insiders and fans, the fact that this revelation surfaced in the same news cycle as the ad created a narrative of alignment, even if the two events were unrelated. The human tendency to connect dots, especially when they confirm pre-existing biases, has fueled speculation and polarized opinions further. On Reddit and in Instagram comment sections, debates rage between those accusing Sweeney of intentional signaling and those insisting she's simply being targeted because of her political registration. Meanwhile, Sweeney herself has remained largely silent, choosing not to issue an immediate public statement. This silence, as is often the case in celebrity controversies, has been interpreted in multiple ways: as strategic restraint, as tacit acknowledgement, or as a sign that her team is scrambling behind the scenes to craft the right response. Crisis communications experts warn that the window for controlling a narrative is small, and that prolonged silence can allow critics to define the story before the subject has a chance to clarify. Yet others argue that reacting too quickly can backfire, locking a celebrity into a defensive posture and inadvertently giving the controversy more oxygen. The brand behind the Denim ad has also been pulled into the discussion. While they have not withdrawn the campaign, they have quietly limited its paid promotion online. PR strategists suggest this is a calculated move, reducing exposure without admitting fault, thereby allowing the controversy to cool while avoiding an explicit acknowledgement that might imply wrongdoing. However, in the court of public opinion, absence of clarification can be as loud as any statement. What makes this case especially compelling from a media and culture standpoint is how it encapsulates the way modern celebrity operates at the intersection of performance, branding, and politics. Sweeney is not the first actor to face backlash for real or perceived political affiliations, but the speed and intensity of this reaction speaks to the current environment where the boundaries between personal identity, artistic work, and commercial partnerships are increasingly blurred. A decade ago, political registration records and fashion campaign aesthetics might not have been linked in the public consciousness. Today, online audiences are more attuned to the symbolism of visuals and more willing to call out anything they believe carries hidden political subtext. The question now is how Sweeney navigates the road ahead. She could issue a statement clarifying her intent and distancing herself from extremist interpretations of the ad. She could lean into her silence, betting that the news cycle will move on and her talent will outweigh any political baggage. Or she could take a more proactive approach, engaging in interviews or philanthropic work that broadens her image beyond the current controversy. Each option carries risk. A direct statement might alienate segments of her fan base. Silence could allow critics to solidify their narrative. Overcompensating could be seen as performative. In the end, Sydney Sweeney's situation is a sharp reminder of the double-edged sword of fame in the digital era. Every image, every political affiliation, and every branding choice exists in a hyper-analyzed space where audiences are not just passive consumers, but active interpreters of meaning. For a star whose appeal has rested partly on her ability to feel both glamorous and grounded, this is a critical test of her brand resilience. Whether she emerges unscathed, slightly dented, or fundamentally reshaped will depend not only on her next steps, but also on whether her audience chooses to see this moment as a misstep or a manufactured storm. One thing is certain: the entertainment industry, and perhaps Sweeney herself, will be studying this incident closely as an object lesson in the politics of perception.